Hey, hello everyone, what's going on? So this week I wanted to make a video that's a lot different from anything I've done before, but I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, and I hope you enjoy it. I wanted to talk about my PlayStation 2 game collection here. Now, I've been an avid game collector for a very long time. I just don't talk about it that much on the channel because finding games in the wild is very hard. And yeah, so I kind of fell into the DVD thing because those are a lot easier for me to pick up. I do love DVDs, but I really like games too. And yeah, let's get started here. So I've been collecting since the early 2000s, I would say, like a few years into the PlayStation 2 cycle. I would say I decided like, oh, I want to own as many of these as I can. And these three right here were ones that were collectible like very early on, probably as early as like 2004. People realized that these titles were hard to find. And what kind of stinks is in about 2010 or so, I brought these to my parents' house and put them in the basement for storage. And like 2 weeks after I did that, a pipe burst and some of the games got wet. So some of the covers have some light water damage, and the game that got the most water damaged is the most valuable PlayStation 2 game, I believe, and it's a game, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's like Kuon or something, Q-U-O-N. So I had to throw away the case and instructions on that one, and I sold it disc only for like $40, and now disc only, that game's worth $400. So I really wish that didn't happen, but you know, what can you do? So yeah, Guitaru, man, this is a cool game, fun music game. I never was able to beat this one, but I did have fun with that. And then this one has always been pretty collectible, Rez, and I believe this was also a Dreamcast game. And I didn't really fully understand how to play this game properly because I could only get to like the second level or so, but still, pretty cool game right there. And this one has always been collectible. Rad Robot Alchemic Drive, and you control a big mech, and basically your controller is like a remote control, set up like how a remote control would be. And yeah, very cool game right there. I have the Kingdom Hearts theme playing right there. I turned the TV to the side because it just flickers, and I don't people want to look at that for the whole video. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Amazing game right there. Blends Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters, and then like Squaresoft, like just kind of made up characters for the game. And I did beat Kingdom Hearts 2 also, which is a good game, but I don't seem to have that. I think I borrowed that one from a friend. And moving along right here, we got Resident Evil Code Veronica X, and I absolutely love this game. It's one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games, which kind of seems like a cheap thing to name as one of my favorite games since it is a Dreamcast port, but still, I don't care. I absolutely love Resident Evil Code Veronica X. And this might upset people. I'm not as into Resident Evil 4. I like the style of the older games more. This is the Steelbook version of the game. A lot of people say the GameCube version is better. It really doesn't matter to me. I actually kind of feel that this game is outdated. I can go back and play the older Resident Evils, but this one right here, with the remake, I would rather just play the remake. With the other ones, it's like I can play the remake and have fun, and I can play the older ones and have fun. But with this one, yeah, I don't have as much of a desire to go back to it, but still, for its time, really, really awesome game, and this is a lot of people's favorite Resident Evil game. It's just not my favorite Resident Evil game. And this one a lot of people don't like, and I understand why they don't like it. It's not a great game, but there is some fun to be had in Resident Evil Dead Aim. You can use the PlayStation 2 gun, and it's actually kind of cool controls. There's a D-pad on the butt of the gun, and you move around, and then when there's enemies, you shoot at them. And yeah, there's some fun to be had in this game right here if you have the gun con. And now, a lot of people really like the Outbreak games, and I never fully got into them, and I don't play games online, really. And playing this single player was just like, I don't know, it was fine, but it wasn't the same as the old games. As you can see, some water damage there. Oh no! And here we got a bunch of strategy RPGs. Disgaea, Hour of Darkness, I really, really like this game. And I like the sequel even more, Disgaea 2. Now, I've tried to play Disgaea 3, 4, and 5, and just were never able to get into them. They just don't seem to have the magic that the first two had. And Mackay Kingdom, I guess that's how that's pronounced. This was pretty fun. Phantom Brave, I didn't like this one quite as much, but like I still beat these ones. La Pucelle Tactics, this was a fun one right here. And now this game, Radiata Stories, I beat this game and barely knew how to play it. I had to run away from most enemies, I remember. But the story was really cool, and it did seem like a good game if I actually like understood the mechanics of it better. And I kind of want to replay it, but I don't know if I'll ever get around to doing that. Next up is Disaster Report, and this was a very fun game, like a survival game. And yeah, I think there's like a lot of multiple endings. I only got one of the endings. I really should replay this one. This one was fun. And Shadow of Destiny, this is a crazy time travel like story-driven game, and this was a lot of fun too. And here's Shadow Hearts, one of the better RPGs on the PlayStation 2. Had a lot of fun with this one. Had a cool battle mechanic. It's random battles, but when it's time to attack, you have like a circle with like a line that spins around, and you have to like stop it at just the right second to get a critical hit. And yeah, very cool game right there. And here's the sequel. I'm pretty sure it's the sequel. It could be the third one. I kind of forget. Shadow Hearts Covenant. And this was fun too. And next up is 4 that I recently picked up since moving to Florida. Now, when I found this one, I made fun of the back because it looked really dumb. But I played a couple of levels of this, and it was fun. And I might give this a complete playthrough. So yeah, I'm sorry, Garfield, I made fun of you. Pretty fun game. And if you played this as a little kid, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Seventh Samurai. This one seems hard to find, and look forward to checking this one out eventually. Carmen Sandiego. This one seems pretty cool. And Gun Griffin Blaze. Nice. I like this a lot when it came out. It does have flaws. The puzzles are kind of like Moon Logic crazy at times, but I do love the Monkey Island games. Funny thing about that game is I remember when it came out, I had bought it, and then later in the night I was hanging out with some friends, and we went to the beach, and there was a dock, and there were like girls there and stuff, and having a fun time. But the whole time I was in the back of my head, I was like, oh, I can't wait to go home and play Monkey Island. I showed where my priorities were. But yeah, fun game right there, Escape from Monkey Island. Have a lot of great memories with this one. Firefighter FD18. I didn't really play this very much. In about 2007 to 2010, I worked at a game store. It was part of Hollywood Video, but it was the game side called Game Crazy. And I got a lot of these games there for super cheap. And some I kind of just bought and didn't play very much if I didn't like them, but I still held on to them. So if I say like, oh, I didn't play the game very much, it's not because I just dropped a whole bunch of money on it to put it on my shelf. I paid very, very little for most of these. We got Arcana Hearts here. Pretty fun fighting game right there. I'm not super into fighting games. They kind of lose my interest after about 15 minutes or so, but some of them are really cool. Gladius, another one I didn't play very much. And this one right here, I just didn't think this was that good, Oka Shadow King. Like, it looks better than it actually is. Guilty Gear X, another fighting game right there. And next up is Aiku, one of my favorite games on the system. Absolutely amazing adventure puzzle game right there. And adventure games with like puzzle solving actually might be some of my favorite games of all time. I like a lot of games like that. Next up we have Contra, and another controversial opinion. I only really like the first Contra game. I feel all the other ones are too hard and just not really what I'm into as a gamer. But yeah, there's Contra Shattered Soldier, Indigo Prophecy. This is an adventure game, but it's more like one of those storytelling games where you just kind of watch a story. I don't think there's much puzzle solving in this. And was very impressed when this first came out. It probably doesn't hold up quite as well once, you know, you're not impressed by graphics that look like that anymore. I feel graphics in games like this hold up much better. Here's Odin Sphere, a fun action RPG. I want to give this another playthrough at some point. And this was a very early game for me. I bought this at GameStop for maybe $5 or so. And yeah. Produced by Hideo Kojima, who I'm a big fan of. And you even got the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo right there. I think that's the reason why a lot of people bought this game. Nice. Now this is just kind of trash right here. Leisure Suit Larry. And yeah, very sophomoric humor right there. The old games were graphic adventure, like point and click games, and this is just kind of like perverted mini games. And I actually beat this game, but it's really, really dumb. Everblue, I had some fun with this, but I didn't play it very much. And this is one I got at the Game Crazy store, as you can see. Has the Hollywood video case right there, and it's Futurama. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the original case. It's actually one of the rarest games on the system, but that's okay, it doesn't have the case. I do have it with the case for original Xbox. And here we got the Grand Theft Auto games, Grand Theft Auto 3. This was so much fun when it first came out. Excellent game. And then when this one came out, it was even better. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. This might be my favorite one in the whole series. This is such a fantastic game. I wish they would do a proper remake of that game. They did a remake, but it like turned out really, really bad. So yeah, they should do a proper remake of that one. And while they're at it, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas too. And now these ones, Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories, these are ports of PSP games, so they're not quite as good, but they're still fun. And next up, Suikoden 3. At least that's how I pronounce it. If you play the game Metal Gear Solid and you have a save file from the first or second game, Psycho Mantis will say, "Oh, so you like Suikoden." And that's how the voice actor pronounces it, so that's how I say it. But I have heard people say Suikoden, which I don't think sounds as good. But anyways, yeah. This is one of my favorite RPGs on PlayStation 2. Fantastic game right there. Highly recommended. It's random battles, which kind of annoys me at points, but the battles are very, very fast. And I skipped Suikoden 4 because I read in magazines that it wasn't very good. It takes place a lot on a ship and you're on water, but I should probably check it out at some point because I do like most games in the series. The fifth one, I beat this game and it was okay, but this one definitely had way too many random battles and it's not nearly as good as the first three. Xenosaga. I really, really like this game. I like this a lot more than Xenogears, which was on PlayStation 1. And I just had a lot of fun with this cool sci-fi game. And I remember it being pretty short, even though it says right there 80 hours. I don't think that's true, and I wouldn't want the game to be 80 hours anyways. I think like 20-25 hours is a good length for a game like this. But again, I didn't play the sequels because they got bad reviews, but I do kind of want to try them. But the third one is very, very hard to track down. I did have it at one point, and I sold it off. I used to buy new and sealed games at like Toys R Us and Circuit City and places like that and resell them, and I did pretty good, but a lot of them I wish I held on to. Here we have Wild Arms 3. I didn't really give this one much of a shot. I only kind of liked the first Wild Arms game, so I didn't really bother with this one. Valkyrie Profile 2. I absolutely love the first Valkyrie Profile. This one wasn't quite as good, but it's still fun. And I didn't really play this one very much. I find these Tales games just, I don't know, something about they're sci-fi games, and they're also Japanese. So when they're translated over, I don't know, they just seem kind of lifeless or something. Oops. And I'm not that into them. Ring of Red is a very cool strategy war game. And I had a lot of fun with this one, but I don't think I ever beat this one. This is a very Japanese game right here, Mr. Mosquito. And yeah, I had fun with this one. And from the same makers of that one is Mad Maestro. And I didn't like this one quite as much. Street Fighter Anniversary Collection right here. Obviously, a bunch of classic games on there. And yeah, like I said, I like fighting games, but I don't play them for very long. The Third Strike one is the reason why I bought this. SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1. Bunch of cool games on here. I'm not as into arcade games. I like games with like stories and games where you can save your progress more. But there are some really cool games on here. There's some good like side-scrolling beat-em-ups from what I remember. I think Burning Fight is the one I'm thinking of. Red Dead Revolver before Red Dead Redemption. There's Red Dead Revolver, and I played through this game and had fun. I didn't really play this one very much, but it looks cool, right? And I didn't play this one much either. I do like strategy RPGs, but this one kind of never hooked me. I did have this one in the box, still brand new and sealed. And it came with like a pocket watch or something, or like a pendant. I kind of forget. I wish I still had that box still unopened. That'd be nice. And another one that's one of my favorites for the system, Bully. Absolutely fantastic. I think I like this more than the Grand Theft Auto games, and I've definitely played through it more than individual Grand Theft Auto games. Lots of fun right there. I really love the atmosphere in the boarding school. And it's not just like a bully simulator, like you don't only bully people, you like also get bullied yourself. And there's a really good story here. Fantastic game right here. I like Aiku a little bit better, but this is awesome as well. Most people like this one better. Psychonauts here, a Tim Schafer game. I do prefer Tim Schafer's older stuff more, but this was fun. I only played through this one time. Now this game is really weird. Castle Shikigami 2. And you look at this cover and you think, oh, it's like a Japanese RPG. But no, it's like one of those shoot-'em-up games. And I really don't like shoot-'em-up games that much. Just not my thing. A lot of people, when talking about retro games, they say that TurboGrafx-16 is one of their favorite systems. And it's because it has a lot of games like this. But for that reason, I don't really like TurboGrafx-16 that much. And yeah, I didn't play this for very long. I'm pretty sure this is a rare one nowadays, though. And what do we got here? Obscure: The Aftermath. A pretty fun survival horror game that takes place in a high school. I had the first Obscure game for original Xbox, and I think I sold it off. I really wish I had the first one on PlayStation 2, though, because it's very valuable nowadays. And let's continue along and look at the rest of these horror games right here. Some heavy hitters, if I do say so myself. Now, Trapped, this is the fourth one in the series. There's 3 games on PlayStation 1, and it's called Techno's Dark Deception. And you're in like a castle, and you trap people. You set up traps, and there's gruesome death scenes. You can see like that guy's about to get eaten by an alligator, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend these games if you can find them. These seem to be hard to track down. And the X-Files, and this is like a Resident Evil game, kind of more like a Silent Hill game. And yeah, it's surprisingly pretty fun. And this is another one that's kind of hard to find, but if you do, definitely grab it. And Siren. Now this game was cool, but just way too hard. I didn't get very far in that one. But Clock Tower 3, I've beaten that multiple times. And this is one of the best PS2 horror games that's not Resident Evil. I like this a lot. Lots of fun there. And we can't forget about the Fatal Frame games. These are a lot of fun. Very, very Japanese, and you have a camera, and you use the camera to take pictures of ghosts to, like, exorcise them. Not, like, give them exercise, that's not what I mean, but to, like, you know, banish their souls or whatever. And, yeah, these are a lot of fun. This one takes place in, like, a modern-day town at points, and because of that, it's very, very creepy. Like, you're in the girl's apartment, and just, like, ghosts show up. Very cool game right there. This seems like the hardest one to find of the series. I could be wrong. Here we have Silent Hill. Obviously, Silent Hill games are great. Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3. I really like this one. This seems to be people's favorites, but I might like this a little bit more. Just because it's not quite as puzzle heavy, and I don't know, maybe a little bit better like action. And Silent Hill Origins, I feel, is underrated. People don't really like this one. The story isn't as good, but I think the gameplay might be a little bit better. Maybe because the character is just more able-bodied. They gave him, like, better attacks or something. I could be wrong. I haven't played it in a very long time. But if I was going to replay any of these, it would be this one. And Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I hated this game when it first came out. I only played it for, like, a half hour. And then someone came into the game store I worked at and told me how, like, oh, no, you have to give it another shot. It's really a hidden gem. And I did have a lot of fun on my second attempt because I kind of realized, like, what it was trying to do. Like, you don't even fight enemies at all. You just run away. And it's kind of like a very loose remake of the first game, but still a lot of fun there. This back row, we got Getting Up, which is a graffiti game in the tin case right there. Dog's Life, kind of a goofy game where you play as a dog, but I had fun with that. Got Capcom versus SNK. Okami. No, I kind of think that this is a little bit overrated. People call this like, oh, this is PlayStation 2 Zelda. Not really. It's nowhere near as good as a Zelda game, but I had some fun with that. I never actually beat it though. Another shoot 'em up. Not really too into these, but this one was pretty fun. Cool fighting game right there. Guilty Gear X. That's a good one. And this one, Dragon Quest 8. I got to the very end of this and like couldn't beat the last boss. I really hate when that happens, but it's happened to me like numerous times. Just so annoying. And once you put like 40 hours into a game, you don't want to like grind, or at least I don't want to. So I kind of sometimes give up on things. I really wish I didn't. Now, Shining Force 1 and 2 are two of my favorite games ever. And it's disappointing that the Shining series just isn't very good after those. Shining Tears, not really a great game. This is a very unique game, Beyond Good and Evil. Another one where I got very far, but I never completed. But that's a lot of fun. This one right here, Magic Penguin, The Quest for Color. Got this at the Salvation Army. You can see the $1.99 price right there. And yeah, I didn't get too far into this one. I did play this one many times though, Katamari Damacy. I have a rap song on YouTube. It's called Dollar Tree Rap. And the opening line is, I'm rolling up with my posse like Katamari Damacy. And I thought that was a clever line, but I don't think many people picked up on that reference. But yeah, this is fun. Another one that got water damaged, unfortunately. I definitely had the second game, but I might have sold that one. I think at one point the second one was worth like $50 or so I got rid of it. Twisted Metal Black, I played a lot of this game. Very fun. And oh my god, I played this so much. At first, this kind of seems like just like a mean-spirited, like, you know, violent game that has no redeeming qualities. But this storyline is very satirical and very just like good, well done, but not for the squeamish. And I did have Manhunt 2, but I think I sold it off and I got the PSP one because you could hack the PSP one. When this came out, it was uncut, but then when the second one came out, last minute, they weren't going to release it, but then they did release it, and they made cuts so they blur all the death scenes, but you could hack a PSP so they weren't blurred anymore. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. Capcom collection right here. Some good games on that one. I'm not really into sports, but I had fun with NBA Street. This is a very early PlayStation 2 game. And now this one, me and my friends, when PlayStation 2 first came out, we would go to my friend Mike's house, and we would just constantly be playing this. And we would set the speed up really high so that the characters are going like super fast. And we had a lot of fun with that, but my one friend who like was actually into hockey thought it was like blasphemy, and he would like make fun of us for doing that. Per Rapper, The Rapper 2, I really liked the first game. This one was pretty fun too. And you can see the Game Crazy sticker on there, $7.99. Good price on that one. Final Fantasy 12 Steelbook there. Pretty fun game that I only played through one time. Star Ocean. I didn't really like the PlayStation 1 game. I do like the company Tri-Ace, while I like some of their stuff. But because I didn't like the PlayStation 1 version, I never played this. Jade Cocoon 2. Didn't really get into that game. There's a bunch of other games I didn't, play that much. Frequency. This was a music game made by the makers of Guitar Hero, an early game by them. And yeah, that one's fine. The Bouncer, not really considered a good game. I think this was a launch game for PlayStation 2. I think this was another launch game, but I played this one a lot. This is a good game. SSX snowboarding game. Sky Gunner, this was a fun one. We got more games here. Final Fantasy X. I liked this when it came out. I don't think I would ever replay that. And Final Fantasy X2 is just kind of bad. I do really like the Hot Shots golf games here, though. And Burnout 3, that's a good one. Virtua Fighter 4. And more games down here. God Hand. This is a rare one, hard to find. Very over the top, but fun game right there. Blood Will Tell. This was in like the $5 bin. And this is a really hard one to track down. I don't really remember much about this game, but yeah, there it is. Metal Gear Solid. What's funny about this is a PlayStation 1 game, but it's in the, you know, the big case. And that was because there was like a trilogy release and it had 3 games, and just to make a match, they put the PlayStation 1 game in the PlayStation 2 style case. Obviously, great game right there. And as you can see, it's not a PlayStation 2 game, it's just a PlayStation game. And you got the classic Metal Gear Solid 2. I love this game. That game is so good. And here's an updated one, Substance, which has extra features. I think I've only played through this one. I played through this one maybe 5 times, and I don't think I've ever played through this version, so I definitely have to give this version a playthrough. And here we got Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Now, the story to this is awesome, but I feel that the game is too hard. I was never good at the stealth aspects. I'm good at the stealth in the earlier games, but not in this one. So basically all I do is I run away from enemies, and then it's time for the next cutscene. So I'm running and then watching cutscenes the entire time I'm playing. Really good story, though. Now, this game I absolutely love as like just having in my collection. And what makes this game so good, in my opinion, is it comes with Metal Gear 1 and 2. So not Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, but Metal Gear from the 80s. Metal Gear was a game that came out on Japanese computers. They did release a version of the first one on Nintendo, but it's like a little bit different. And then the second one, I think, is a completely different game. But if you own this, I think it's the only way to play the Japanese, like, actual original Metal Gear 1 and 2. And those are classic and still hold up. They're a lot of fun. I played them a few years back. And just some more games here. God of War, classic game. But I actually think I prefer this game, Rygar. This is a lot less known, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. I've played through this maybe 3 times or so. Great game. Highly recommend this one. Hulk Ultimate Destruction, that's fun. These 3D Castlevania games are fun. Not as good as the, you know, the 2D Castlevania games, but still pretty cool. This is old Sega games, but they updated the graphics, and I don't actually think this is a very good game. Mega Man collections right there. Cookie and Cream, Nightshade, Gran Turismo. I had fun with this when it came out. And of course I had fun with the Tony Hawk games. I didn't really play Arc the Lad, this one, very much. I played the PlayStation 1 Arc the Lad game, but not really that one. I didn't really play this very much either. Now this is like a boxing RPG. Very weird game right there. Potato Legends, classic arcade games on that. Wallace and Gromit, another Tony Hawk. Rocky, love Rocky, but this isn't a very good game. Fun football game, fun shooting game right there. RPG Maker, I don't really have the patience to play that. Tekken was fun. King of Fighters, it's okay, not really my thing. Another fighting game. Some Simpsons games here. Family Feud. Under the Skin, now this is a cool Capcom game. And you even have Resident Evil Nemesis and Jill Valentine in there. Nice. And a few racing games there. And that was my PlayStation 2 game collection. I hope you had fun watching. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Now, PlayStation 2 isn't my favorite game system of all time, but it's up there. I would say, just for nostalgia reasons, I prefer PlayStation 1, and I also prefer a Sega CD. But PlayStation 2 has so many good games. It is kind of an awkward phase for gaming, though, because it's like early 3D graphics. There's not very many 2D games. And yes, the 3D graphics are a little awkward. But yeah, I wanted to show you my PlayStation 2 games. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Okay, see you next time around.